memory. Refrescar a memória da mamãe.
I tried jogging Mom's memory, but she couldn't remember Joe's phone number either. I had no recollection of that vacation until the photo jogged my memory.
Me avivou a memória. Jog my memory.
The police showed him a photo to try to jog his memory about what had happened on the night of the robbery.
Refrescar a sua memória.
Hearing the first part of the song I'd forgotten really jogged my memory. I tried to jog Bill's memory about our childhood antics. So you don't remember her? Well, here's a photograph of you with her, which might jog your memory. Seeing her again jogged my memory, and I recalled my life as a child on a farm in Minnesota. Maybe this photograph will jog your memory.
Lhe avive a memória.
Police hope to jog the memory of anyone who was in the area at the time of the attack. Something about what he said jogged my memory about an article I had read the month before.
Despertou minha memória.
Police have planned a reconstruction of the crime in the hope this will jog the memory of passers-by.
No horse in this race.
I have no horse in this race. I just want to see justice done.
Eu não tenho nada a ganhar.
I'm not upset that vacation time might be reduced because I have no horse in this race. I'm just a part-time employee, so I don't get paid vacation days as it is. Now that I've stopped practicing medicine, new regulations don't bother me in the slightest. I have no horse in this race anymore. We have no horse in this race at all.
Não temos absolutamente nada a ganhar nisso.
We have no horse in this race at all. We have no horse in this race. We are not in any way involved with the pharmaceutical industry. He took a look around and rightly figured he had no horse in this race. Come on, you all know I have no horse in this race. I'm just trying to help, honestly. If he really had no horse in this race, why would he be so passionate about it? I'm not part of their team. I have no horse in this race. All I want is to understand what's going on. I had no horse in this race because they are both my favorite players.
Get one's way. Consegue o que quer no final.
She always gets her own way in the end.
Ela sempre consegue o que quer no final.
My little brother always gets his own way. That's so annoying. If Tommy doesn't get his way, he'll start throwing a tantrum that could last all night. Samantha always has to get her own way when it comes to dividing responsibilities for group assignments. Don't let the children always get their own way.
Conseguirem o que querem.
My little sister is so spoiled. She always gets her way, even when she misbehaves. When someone or something stops them from getting their own way, their frustration can build up to explosion point. She is very good at using her charm to get her way.
Conseguiu o que ela quer.
You don't even have your coat off, and you're already using emotional blackmail to get your way. 2-year-olds often scream until they get their own way. How dare you think you can just manipulate people to get your way?
Foregone conclusion.
The result of the election seems to be a foregone conclusion.
Em dúvida. O resultado da eleição parece não estar em dúvida.
The result of the election seems to be a foregone conclusion.
The victory was a foregone conclusion. Conclusão óbvia.
The victory was a foregone conclusion. Most voters believe the result is a foregone conclusion. It's almost a foregone conclusion that you'll get what you want. The outcome of the battle was a foregone conclusion. It seemed like a foregone conclusion that she would win the tournament. The last 3 elections were all foregone conclusions. Once again, a defeat for the Conservatives looked like a foregone conclusion.
Resultado óbvio.
It soon became clear that a victory for Federer was not a foregone conclusion. After how poorly the team has played so far this season, it's a foregone conclusion that they won't make it to the championship. It's a foregone conclusion that Spain will win tonight's match.
Não há dúvida. Dancing to someone's tune. Fazer a vontade dela.
The boss has got everyone dancing to her tune. The senators are dancing to the tune of the president.
Os senadores estão fazendo a vontade do presidente.
I have no intention of making Jake's curfew later, but he is trying his hardest to get me to dance to his tune. I'm not big on animals, but Ella is, so I danced to her tune and accompanied her to the dog show. The danger is that the churches could end up dancing to the tune of their big business sponsors. In order to keep the peace, Peter has to dance to his wife's tune. My husband is so grumpy when he doesn't get his way, so I danced to his tune and went with him to the car show this weekend. My sister wants us to all go on holiday together. I am not going to dance to her tune. I have always been a bit of a free spirit. I dance to my own tune. Powerful businessmen seem to have the district officials dancing to their tune.
Spell trouble.
The latest opinion polls spell trouble for the Republicans.
As pesquisas de opinião mais recentes indicam problemas para os republicanos. Spell trouble. Indicam
This
problemas.
decision could spell trouble for all of us.
Indicam problemas, causam problemas.
I'm worried that these dark clouds spell trouble for our day on the golf course. Police know very well that large crowds can spell trouble. This letter that came today spells trouble. The sky looks angry and dark. That spells trouble. The first night problems could spell trouble for the rest of the tour. The lack of rain could spell disaster for farmers. Their plans would spell disaster for the economy. That can spell disaster for an individual's health.
Go for it.
I'm thinking of applying for that job. Go for it.
Vai fundo.
If you want it, then stop worrying about it and go for it. I'm thinking of asking Delilah out on a date, but what if she says no? Just go for it, dude. You'll never know unless you ask. I'm going to try out for the basketball team. Do you think I'm tall enough? Sure you are. Go for it. Don't throw away your chances. Just go for it. Remember, ultimate success depends on being able to identify what is and isn't working in your life. Then go for it. Don't listen to him, Jeannie. Go for it. How will you ever know unless you try? It looked like something I wanted to do, so I decided to go for it. I knew I wouldn't win the marathon, but I still went for it with everything I had. When you set the right goals for yourself, you will feel ready and willing to go for it.
A leg up.
I can climb over the fence if I get a leg up from you.
Pezinho.
Give me a leg up over the wall.
Dê pezinho.
I think I can reach the roof if I can get a leg up from someone. He'd certainly have a leg up on the competition.
Uma vantagem.
The drive to get a leg up on the competition this year is especially intense. Our after-school program is aimed to help students get a leg up in any subject they are having difficulty with.
Passo à frente.
I wouldn't have been able to afford college if I hadn't gotten a leg up from my parents. The company has a leg up on the competition thanks to the recent publicity. They see it as an opportunity to get a leg up on the competition by launching service rapidly in a new market.
Leg up.
This will give them a leg up over their competitors.
Impulso. A tough as nails. Durona.
She is a warm and friendly person, but she is also as tough as nails at work. Bert is as tough as nails, so get him to help you move all this furniture. She's almost 90, but she's still tough as nails. When she's negotiating a contract, she can be as tough as nails. He may not look like much, but he's as tough as nails. He was a fighter, tough as nails.
Verdadeiro durão.
She certainly can be as tough as nails when needed. Her brother describes her as tough as nails. He looked as tough as nails. What we need is a leader who is as tough as nails.
Out of touch. Alienados.
A few of the older teachers are completely out of touch with their students. She was totally out of touch with civilization. Older, experienced clinicians often view guidelines as a set of directives issued by panels composed of physicians who are out of touch with real patients.
Fora de
He is out
contato.
of touch with the younger generation.
Fora de contato.
They accuse politicians of being out of touch with ordinary people. If they really believe in this, then they must be completely out of touch. I've been out of touch with my brother for many years. James wasn't invited. We've been out of touch for years. I don't know if he still lives there. We've been out of touch for some time. John and I have been out of touch since high school, so I really have no idea what he's up to these days. I couldn't go back into mechanics because I've been out of touch for too long.
Sem prática. Out of touch for too long.
Wow, I haven't swung a bat in 10 years. I'm out of touch. I haven't taught for a while, so I'm a little out of touch. I've been away from the business for several years and feel quite out of touch.
Desatualizado.
Dad, you're so out of touch. No one listens to CDs anymore. I don't think you realize just how harmful out-of-touch attitudes like that can be.
Ultrapassadas. Indeed.
Evidence suggests that errors may indeed be occurring. Indeed, it could be the worst environmental disaster in Europe this century.
De fato.
If you are indeed a poet, let's hear one of your poems. If he has indeed quit his job, I asked myself, why is he still here? We live in strange times indeed. Many people are very poor indeed.
Mesmo.
From a medical standpoint, the discovery may turn out to be very big news indeed.
Mesmo.
Yes, I did indeed say that. Can you really play the trumpet? I can indeed.
Eu realmente sei.
That's very strange, isn't it? Yes, indeed. I can't explain it. When will we get a pay rise? When, indeed.
Quando realmente?
Mr. Benson wants to make a complaint. Does he indeed?
Ele quer realmente?
What would we do without him? What indeed? For such creatures, speed is not important. Indeed, it is counterproductive.
Na verdade,
It was impossible to find work, and indeed, it became increasingly hard to keep looking for a job. We have nothing against diversity. Indeed, we want more of it. It would be difficult. Indeed, it would be almost impossible.
na verdade. Hung up on.
Why are you so hung up on getting everything right?
Obcecado.
I'm still hung up on that sale I missed last week.
Obcecado.
Like most teenagers, I was hung up on my weight and was permanently on a diet. Don't get hung up on the first sentence or paragraph of your essay. They're always the most difficult. Wow, are you really that hung up on her?
Caidinho por ela? Hung up.
John is really hung up on Mary. She's hung up on him too. See how she smiles at him?
Caidinha por ele também.
He refuses to accept the advances of Elle because he's hung up on Izzy. Why? Because he thinks she's smart and funny. Double insanity. He started shouting, so I hung up on him.
Desliguei na cara dele.
He started shouting, so I hung up on him. She hung up on me in the middle of a sentence. He was furious that you had hung up on him. She hung up on me, but I'm going to call her again. There's something else I want to say.
Cup of Joe. Xícara de café.
A cup of joe or tea will keep you alert and give you something enjoyable to sip on. After all, what's studying without a cup of joe? While my preference for my morning joe is to drink it black, every once in a while I like to jazz it up. Trade your morning joe for a cup of green tea. I ordered a cup of regular joe, sat down, and opened my newspaper. Pour me a cup of joe, will you? My morning ritual is never complete without a good cup of joe. Do you want to come along to the coffee shop for a cup of joe? I can't think straight in the morning until I've had my first cup of joe. You can get an excellent cup of joe in this place.
Take a page from someone's book. Seguir o seu exemplo.
I think I'm going to take a page from your book and start going for a run first thing in the morning. Our youngest son was always very placid as a baby, but now that he's getting older, he's begun taking a page from our older boy's book.
Está começando a agir como nosso menino mais velho.
You may want to borrow or take a page from his book and study harder for your finals.
Seguir o exemplo dele.
What he did, in effect, was propose we take a page from our own history.
Seguirmos o exemplo da nossa própria história.
Don't take a leaf out of my book. I don't do it well.
Não haja como eu. Eu não faço isso bem.
Don't take a leaf out of my book. I don't do it well. Maybe I should take a leaf out of Rick's book and start coming in early every morning. They should take a leaf out of Industry's book and pay both management and staff on results. When you act like that, you're taking a leaf out of your sister's book, and I don't like it. You had better do it your way. He wished more young people would take a leaf out of his book and follow his example.
Mess up. Confusão.
My desk is a mess of paperwork, business cards, and office supplies. The city is still its usual mess of corruption and violence. Her room is a mess of clothes, shoes, makeup, and magazines. My mind is a mess of thoughts, wishes, frustrations, and guilt. We went out on the lake and caught a whole mess of fish. I cooked up a mess of chili and had all my friends over to eat it. She had a whole mess of dolls in her bedroom.
Ela tinha um monte de bonecas no seu quarto.
The doors opened up to a mess of more wrapped framed works scattered everywhere.
Monte demais.
They're in a mess of trouble.
Eles estão em monte de apuros.
There's a whole mess of produce at the farmer's market, but it's not always easy to find what you want. I've made such a mess of my life. That wine has made a real mess of the carpet.
Aquele vinho arruinou mesmo o carpete.
They made a mess of their marriage. The shell hit the roof of the building and made a mess of the inside of the building.
Arruinou o interior do prédio.
I gave Jim very clear instructions, but even then, he managed to make a mess of it all.
Have your share of. Temos nossa cota.
We certainly have our share of problems at the moment.
Temos nossa cota de problemas.
He has had his share of bad luck. She's had her fair share of tragedies in her life.
Ela já teve cota de tragédias em sua vida.
That little girl is just 8 years old, and she's already had her share of hardship, unfortunately. Listen, as someone who has had her share of bad relationships, I'll tell you, that is not such a terrible thing. I've had more than my full share of adventures. We've had our share of problems with the new computer system. Leave her alone. She had her share of suffering.
Deixa em paz, ela teve sua cota de sofrimento.
Leave her alone. She had her share of suffering. You've sure had your share of problems, haven't you? The club has had a fair share of success, both in the national and international arena, since 1948.
Dark Horse. Azarão.
Nobody thought Sherry could win the race after breaking her leg last year, but she turned out to be a dark horse and took first place. No one thought the brash newcomer would be a threat to the established candidates, but he's turning out to be a real dark horse in this campaign.
Verdadeiro azarão nessa campanha.
It's difficult to predict who will win the prize. There are 2 or 3 dark horses in the tournament. Everyone was surprised at the results of the election. The dark horse won.
O azarão venceu. Todos ficaram surpresos com o resultado das eleições. O azarão venceu.
Everyone was surprised at the results of the election. The dark horse won. In the end, as it always happens in movies, the dark horse wins. In the end, as it always happens in movies, the dark horse wins. You're a dark horse. I had no idea you could play the piano so well.
Você é uma caixinha de surpresa.
Anna's such a dark horse. I had no idea she'd published a novel. You are such a dark horse. You never told me you'd got married.
Caixinha de surpresa.
He's a dark horse, isn't he?
Behind the Eight Ball. Uma sinuca de bico.
Every time I listen to what you say, I wind up behind the 8 ball.
Acabo em uma sinuca de bico.
If we don't leave early tomorrow, we'll be behind the 8 ball, and I doubt we'll reach the cabin by dusk. I'm behind the 8 ball again, and can't see how to resolve my dilemma. John is behind the 8 ball because he started writing his term paper far too late. His check bounced, leaving Jim behind the 8 ball with his landlord.
Em uma sinuca de bico.
If a child doesn't get the basics in primary school, they are always behind the 8 ball. Basically, I made mistakes and put us right behind the 8 ball. After his last 2 projects failed, he was really behind the 8 ball. The detective was behind the 8 ball and had a lot of work to do to solve the case.
Sinuca de bico.
We move out tomorrow. Changing our plans now would put us behind the 8 ball.
Punchline. A parte final da piada.
She didn't understand the punchline.
Ela não entendeu a parte final da piada.
It's like a joke with no punchline.
Sem a parte final.
Don't include them unless you know your audience and have the confidence to deliver the punchline properly. There is rarely a script, point, or punchline. Social media users remixed her words, used them as punchlines, and transcribed them into sheet music. I tried to tell my friend a joke, but I forgot the punchline. They have a house in Passaic, the kind of town which serves as a punchline in American jokes. For 29% of the people, a great joke can end in a less than funny punchline. Leave it to Perry's Chandler Bing to deliver a sarcastic remark or punchline, which would never fail in making us cackle uncontrollably. Part of the reason why this series works so well is that it is based in real stories, not the jerky punchlines. If you know the novel, you'll know that this confrontation is the punchline of this story.
Way to go.
Way to go, Mary. Keep up the good work.
Boa, Mary. Continua assim.
Nice job, guys. Way to go.
Continuem assim.
I heard you girls won the contest. Way to go.
Way to go.
As he left, the fans broke into applause, and someone called out, "Way to go, Mike." That was a great lecture. Way to go. Way to go on reaching your charity goal of $100,000.
Parabéns por alcançar.
As John ran over the finish line, everyone cried, "That's the way to go."
Muito bem.
Way to go, Paul. That's a great drawing.
Parabéns, Paul. Este é um ótimo desenho.
Way to go, Paul. That's a great drawing. Way to go. You showed them. Way to go, genius. What are we going to do now? Way to go, Kim. Now we'll have to start all over again. Way to go, Kim. Way to go, John. Now we'll have to start all over again. Way to go, John. You broke the chair.
Get the drop on.
I think we'll get the drop on the defense if we run this play next.
Levaremos vantagem sobre.
The police received an anonymous tip and got the drop on the would-be robbers when they entered the bank. I guess I got the drop on you because I was early.
Eu acho que levei vantagem sobre você porque cheguei cedo.
I guess I got the drop on you because I was early. I got the drop on almost everyone by sending in my registration by email. Their book on electronic communication got the drop on all the others. We really got the drop on them in the competition. We're always getting the drop on our competitors because the owner really knows the business and can act fast. Our momentary lapse of concentration allowed Charlie to get the drop on us.
Levar-se vantagem sobre nós.
You're the first guy to get the drop on me in 10 years. We can't afford to have them get the drop on us.
Shelf life. Vida útil.
Many medicines have a very short shelf life.
Muitos medicamentos têm uma vida útil muito curta.
Fresh fruit has a very short shelf life. Because it is vacuum packed, it has a much longer shelf life than regular beef. The product would be expensive to make and have a limited shelf life. Vacuum packing gives the fish a shelf life of a couple of weeks. The shelf life of the product is 1 to 2 weeks. Flour has a longer shelf life. These days, many marriages have a fairly short shelf life. Today's technology can have a brief shelf life. Self-help books have a longer shelf life than other bestsellers.
Make short work of.
Well, you certainly made short work of the chocolate cake. There's none left for your dad.
Bem, vocês acabaram rápido mesmo com o bolo de chocolate. Não sobrou nada para seu pai.
We made short work of the food that was put in front of us.
Acabamos rapidamente com.
The team made short work of their biggest rival last night.
Acabou rapidamente.
We'll make short work of this project now that you've joined the team. You made short work of that book you were reading. You must have liked it. Everyone is expecting the team to make short work of their opponents in the upcoming match. They made short work of cleaning up so they could get to the movies. The children made short work of the ice cream. The champion made very short work of the challenger in the title fight. The project entailed a huge amount of translation, but Audrey made short work of it.
Take a dig at. Importunar.
I'm really not trying to take a dig at you. I'm just trying to give you some constructive feedback.
Importunar você.
He's really nice to me when we hang out by ourselves, but he always starts taking digs at me when we're around his other friends. I can speak the language very well, but they still can't resist taking a dig at my accent.
Me provocar pelo meu sotaque.
You can't use a public occasion to take a dig at your sister like that. It was almost as if a film had to take a dig at the Republican administration and its policies if it was to be taken seriously. Why did you take a jab at Sam?
Por que você provocou o Sam?
You're always taking digs at people who think they're your friends.
Você está sempre importunando a pessoa.
Jane is always taking digs at Bob, but she never really means any harm. She loves to take jabs at people she doesn't like. I told her to stop taking digs at me.
Eu disse para ela parar de me importunar. Keep an eye out for. Fique atento.
Keep an eye out for spyware programs that install themselves on your computer.
Keep an eye.
We heard the health inspector will be doing a surprise inspection someday soon, so keep an eye out. They should be arriving any minute, so keep an eye out for them. You and your friends keep an eye out. If there's any trouble, we'll make a break for it. I try to always keep an eye out for good recipes. He asked me to keep an eye out for any houses to rent. I was keeping an eye out for a present we could give your mother, but nothing caught my eye. Can you keep an eye out for the taxi and let me know when it arrives? I saw the weather forecast. Keep an eye out for rain. Hey, I can't find my ring. I've looked everywhere, but I can't find it. Can you just keep an eye out for it?
Take around.
This is where you'll be working, but let me take you around the rest of the building.
Mostrar-lhe.
My sister's coming to visit from America. Do you want to come while I take her around?
Levo por aí.
Mr. Franklin needs a plant tour. Would you take him around? Let's take the new neighbors around the town this weekend. Could you take the guests around the house? I'll join you in a moment. Let's take around the exchange students and show them the city. It's nice visiting a city if you have someone to take you round. Eves will take you round and introduce you to your new colleagues.
Guiá-lo.
Our guide took us around the cathedral. Would you kindly take around our guests?
T-minus. Faltam.
T-minus 10, 9, 8.
T-minus.
In T-minus 5 minutes, the rocket will be launched.
Dentro de 5 minutos.
T-minus 5 minutes to the drop zone.
Faltam 5 minutos.
T-minus 30 seconds to engine ignition.
Faltam 30 minutos.
T-minus 34 minutes until the next patrol. We are at T-minus 15 minutes and counting.
Faltam 15 minutos contado.
It's T-minus 168 hours, give or take, before the autumn games begin.
Faltam 168 horas, mais ou menos, para os jogos de outono começarem.
It's T-minus 168 hours, give or take, before the autumn games begin. We're T-minus 5 minutes or so. Total annihilation in T-minus 6 minutes. In T-minus 30 seconds, we'll send nukes to sanitize that site.
Enviaremos mísseis para sanitar o local.
Portal dilation will commence in T-minus 5 minutes.
Get it off my chest.
I had spent 2 months worrying about it, and I was glad to get it off my chest.
Fiquei feliz de desabafar.
I feel it's done me good to get it off my chest. You've been a little cold to me lately. Is there something you'd like to get off your chest?
Desabafar, get off my chest.
I'm sorry, but I just have to get something off my chest. How could you treat me like that last night? You will feel better if you get it off your chest. I have to get this off my chest. I'm tired of your rudeness to me. He came to see me because he wanted to get something off his chest. Tell me about it. Get it off your chest. I had a conversation with him last month. Just a general chat that I wanted to have, and I got things off my chest. He admitted taking the dollar and said he was glad to get it off his chest.
For better or for worse?
I've married you for better or for worse, knowing all about these problems.
Na alegria, na tristeza.
We've made our decision, and now we have to stick to it, for better or worse. He was her husband. For better or worse, he was her husband. Our marriage has had its share of challenges, but we vowed to stay together for better or for worse. For better or worse, she's your wife, and she needs your help. Anyway, for better or for worse, I followed her advice. Work is, for better or worse, becoming more flexible nowadays. For better or worse, the new interactivity brings enormous political leverage to ordinary citizens at relatively little cost.
Para o bem ou para o mal?
All 5, for better or worse, have received recent votes of confidence from their respective general managers. Medical students in prolonged contact with junior doctors learn attitudes by example, for better or for worse. Today we know, for better or for worse, that cops, like doctors and priests, are merely human. The consequences could be even more startling, for better or for worse. The reality is that, for better or worse, The world of publishing has changed.
Touch and go. Não se sabe se.
It is touch and go whether we'll succeed.
Não se sabe se nós teremos sucesso.
It is touch and go whether we'll succeed. I don't know for sure. Everything is a bit touch and go at the moment.
Está meio incerto.
It was a touch and go match from beginning to end. But fortunately, we were able to pull ahead in the last few minutes. Things were touch and go at the office until a new manager was hired. The doctor said it was a touch and go surgery, but he is expected to pull through and make a full recovery. Jane had a serious operation, and the situation was touch and go for 2 days after her surgery.
E a situação esteve delicada por 2 dias após a cirurgia dela.
It had been touch and go for him in the hospital, but he had eventually recovered. The doctor says that it's touch and go whether Mary will be okay.
O médico diz que não se sabe se a Mary ficará bem.
They know perfectly well that it was touch and go whether the unemployed were to receive anything at all. It was touch and go whether we'd go bankrupt.
Não se sabia se iríamos à falência.
It's touch and go whether we'll make it in time. Our business had a pretty rocky start. It was touch and go for a while there, whether we'd even be able to keep going or not.
In the meantime, nesse meio tempo,
The movie starts at 9 o'clock. In the meantime, let's eat dinner. My flight was at 8 o'clock. In the meantime, I played solitaire. She spent 4 years studying for her law degree. In the meantime, she continued to work at the bank. The school will have to be rebuilt. In the meantime, teachers are using portable classrooms. We're working to make this right, but in the meantime, please accept this voucher for a free meal as an apology. Your teacher will be here soon. In the meantime, can you get on with some reading, please? The gas supply will be restored, but in the meantime, we are preparing cold meals.
enquanto isso,
We need to wait for the movie to download. Let's get the popcorn ready in the meantime. Eventually, your child will become an independent adult, but in the meantime, she relies on your support. The new computers won't arrive until next week, but we can keep using the old ones in the meantime.
até lá,
Rick wants to be an actor, but in the meantime, he's working as a waiter.
go bad. Estragou.
Federico, can you tell me if this mayonnaise has gone bad? It's putrid, like beer that's gone bad. Based on the awful smell, I'm pretty sure that meat has gone bad. I'm afraid that this milk has gone bad. You can tell from the smell that this milk has gone bad. Is the milk still good, or has it gone bad? She knew things might go bad. It's the kind of trouble that comes when you've been good and life goes bad. For better or for worse, if this thing goes bad, we would cease to exist as a city, Hernandez said. She wept at seeing her son go bad.
Se corromper.
I'm really worried that my son will go bad if he keeps hanging out with that group of troublemakers. If he keeps running around with that street gang, he's sure to go bad. She thought her children would go to the bad unless they were strictly brought up.
Dream come true.
For her, making the Olympic team was a dream come true. Marriage to her is a dream come true.
É a realização de um sonho.
Winning a honeymoon trip just months before your wedding is a dream come true. For him, being aboard the raft was a dream come true. Publishing this novel is really a dream come true. I never thought I'd see this day. My vacation to Hawaii was like a dream come true. Having you for a friend is a dream come true. For Ruth, it will be a dream come true as she becomes the youngest female licensed amateur rider in history. We pensioners often travel, and to tell the truth, train and car journeys are tiring. For us, airplanes are a dream come true. It would be a dream come true to be able to observe my favorite species in their natural habitat. Jessica has had a crush on David since she was a teenager. When he finally asked her out on a date, it was a dream come true. Winning a trip to Paris is a dream come true.
Around the corner.
There's a great restaurant just around the corner.
Virando a esquina.
The store isn't far from here, it's just around the corner. The doctor's office is around the corner from our house. The nearest grocery store is just around the corner. It's still cold today, but spring is just around the corner.
Está muito próxima.
The Chancellor of the Exchequer says that economic recovery is just around the corner. There's nothing better than believing that something better is around the corner.
Está próximo.
I'm feeling a little depressed at the moment, but I'm sure good times are just around the corner. My little brother believes that an alien invasion is right around the corner, and that we should prepare ourselves for life on another planet. Our company is devoted to the self-driving car and believes that its widespread use is right around the corner.
Carlen sick.
That virus has totally decimated my staff. Only 2 people are in the office today because the rest called in sick.
Ficou doente.
If you really want to go to the beach tomorrow, just call in sick. 4 of our office staff called in sick today. I have to call in sick today. Ben called in sick and told his boss he would miss the meeting. He called in sick and went shopping with his wife.
Ele pediu licença por motivos de saúde e foi fazer compras com a esposa.
He called in sick and went shopping with his wife. Shouldn't you be at work today? I called in sick. You've run out of reasons to call in sick. I don't know where you're headed, but can you call in sick? I wasn't feeling that well yesterday, so I called in sick. You don't look too good. You better call in sick. He was upset because it was the first day of the sale, and Astrid had called in sick.
Easy on the eyes.
She's very easy on the eyes.
Atraente.
His daughter was easy on the eye, but his sister was not much to look at. That model is definitely easy on the eyes. I knew the movie would be boring, but I watched it anyway, because the actor is so easy on the eyes. Did you see the woman who bought the house next to ours? She's certainly easy on the eyes. You should give your phone number to that waiter. He's pretty easy on the eyes.
Bem atraente.
His older sister is easy on the eyes, but he would kill me if I asked her out. He's easy on the eyes, isn't he? Of course he is. He's a model. Her photographs are very easy on the eyes. The monitor's display is easy on the eyes. This painting is so easy on the eye. It will be wonderful to wake up to every morning. When decorating your bedroom, it's best to choose colors that are easy on the eye.
Lousy with.
That area is lousy with tourists.
Aquela área é cheia de turista.
Her family has a large estate. They are lousy with money.
Cheio de dinheiro.
They are nothing but footnotes in a sport that is lousy with trivia. Our city is lousy with bad drivers. I wish I were lousy with money like my boss. We don't need another accountant. We're lousy with accountants. My grandmother was obsessed with taxidermy, so her house was lousy with stuffed bodies of various animals. Tiffany is lousy with jewels and furs, but she has awful taste. Their northern coast is lousy with airstrips.
A costa setentrional deles é cheia de pistas de pouso.
Their northern coast is lousy with airstrips.
That's that. E é isso.
Sign the document, pay the fee, and that's that until the next time.
E é isso até a próxima vez.
I won't agree to it, and that's that.
Ponto final.
It's no use arguing. She's made up her mind, and that's that.
Ponto final.
I refuse to go, and that's that. There's no money left, so that's that.
Então pronto.
We're offering $2,700, and that's that.
E fim de conversa.
If you don't turn up, that's that. They don't do anything more about it. You are going to your sister's recital, and that's that. No more complaining. You're going to bed now, and that's that. I don't want any argument. That's that. I just sent the proofs to the printer.
Pronto.
Let's just say that's that and be done with it. So that's that. At last, we're all agreed.
Então pronto. Keep clear of.
If you're a beginner, steer clear of resorts with reputations for difficult skiing.
Fique longe de.
He had stayed clear of the subject of religion since Christmas. Keep clear of your brother. He's very irritable today.
Fique longe do seu irmão.
If you boys are going to play outside, please keep clear of the street.
Fique longe das ruas.
Her speech steered clear of controversial issues.
Manteve-se afastado do discurso.
They warned their children to steer clear of drugs. No one mentioned the divorce, so Lisa decided to steer clear of that subject.
Evitar.
If I were you, I'd keep clear of him. When in a family dinner, it's better to steer clear of controversial subjects. Keep clear of her, she's no good.
Fique longe dela, ela não presta.
It's better to stay clear of politics and other problematic themes.
If you ask me.
She looks ridiculous in that hat, if you ask me.
Se quer saber.
If you ask me, she doesn't really want the job. If you ask me, people should go on a training course before they become parents. If you ask me, it would be better if the government focused on lowering taxes for corporations. It just isn't worth the risk of getting involved, if you ask me. If you ask me, Mark shouldn't have bought that car. It just wasn't worth the money. That shirt is ugly, if you ask me. He's just plain crazy, if you ask me. All this stuff about poisons in the water supply is a load of nonsense, if you ask me. Looks like a mortuary, if you ask me.
Parece um necrotério.
She's already too convincing, if you ask me. The policeman wouldn't even have noticed, if you ask me.
O policial nem teria percebido se quer saber. Come to a standstill.
At the height of rush hour, traffic comes to a standstill.
Parar por completo.
Because of the strike, the production of the factory has come to a standstill. All the other drivers came to a standstill as the police car, with its flashing lights and siren, sped by. Our research came to a standstill after a sudden reduction in funding. The runaway bus eventually came to a standstill when it rolled into a muddy field. We made an emergency landing, and as soon as the aircraft came to a standstill, we evacuated through the emergency doors.
Parou por completo.
Abruptly, the group ahead of us came to a standstill. As the strike began, the production line came to a standstill. Please keep your seatbelt fastened until the plane has come to a standstill. It seems like the sun has come to a standstill, hours above the river and the opposite shore.
One is on.
He lives on his own.
Mora sozinho.
I told him how scared I was of being on my own. I need some time on my own. Dave moved out last fall. He's on his own now. She enjoyed traveling on her own. I love cheese on toast, but I won't eat cheese on its own. I've been living on my own for 4 years now. He didn't want to be left on his own. I work best on my own. I can manage on my own, thanks. He built the entire house on his own. A 7-year-old can get dressed on his own, but it might take a long time. Because she spoke the language, she got around the country very well on her own. There are some chores your child can do on her own. I had to finish designing the website on my own after many of our workers were laid off. Bridget learned to tie her shoes on her own when she was 3. You can't expect him to do it all on his own. I don't need anyone's pity or help. I can make it all on my own, thank you very much.
A drop in the bucket.
We were paid about $50,000, but that was a drop in the bucket compared to what some other companies got.
Mas isso foi nada em comparação.
I'm glad Tony started repaying the money he borrowed from me, but the $5 he gave me yesterday is just a drop in the bucket compared to what he still owes. Many companies donated food and medicine to help the survivors of the earthquake, but it was just a drop in the ocean of what was needed.
Uma gota no oceano.
These contributions are just a drop in the bucket. The new church wing will cost thousands more. The money I give to charity is a drop in the ocean compared to some people. My letter of protest was just a drop in the ocean. They need to raise thousands of pounds for this project, so our 20-pound donation is just a drop in the ocean. $10 million is only a drop in the ocean compared to what is needed to help these people effectively. 5,000 new schools are to be built, but this is just a drop in the ocean for such a vast country. Third world debt is so massive that recent pledges to reduce or forgive it are just a drop in the bucket. The United States pledge of $100 million to the Rainforest Fund is a drop in the ocean.
On the off chance.
The local communities will find it unacceptable to reserve the whole estate merely on the off chance that there will be a military requirement.
Meramente na possibilidade remota.
He had taken a flight to Paris on the off chance that he might be able to meet Francesca. There was also an American visitor who had turned up on the off chance of catching a glimpse of the princess.
Possibilidade remota.
I came on the off chance I'd see her.
Eu vim na remota possibilidade de vê-la.
I came on the off chance I'd see her. I'm also going to watch his apartment on the off chance he goes back. I brought you here on the off chance that she would come in. Neither of the women I had met was working, and I got a beer and looked around on the off chance that Huckmeyer was present. On the off chance that you get home before me, can you put the roast in the oven?
Se por muito acaso,
I applied for the job on the off chance that they might like me, but I didn't seriously expect to get it. On the off chance that it rains, we will postpone the competition until tomorrow. You'll probably need to replace your washing machine, but on the off chance that I can fix it, let me open it up and take a look. I don't think she would go on a date with me, but on the off chance that she says yes, I'm going to ask her anyway.
na remota possibilidade.
I went to the theater on the off chance that there were tickets for the show left.
Never hear the end of.
If Linda gets that promotion, we'll never hear the end of it.
Seremos relembrados disso para sempre.
If he gets a date with Claire, we'll never hear the end of it. If it turns out that he's right, we'll never hear the end of it. So he made a mistake. If you never let him hear the end of it, you're basically telling him you'll never trust him again. Dude, I can't believe you wrecked your parents' car. You're never going to hear the end of it.
Você será relembrado disso para sempre.
If you do not send a wedding present to them, you will never hear the end of it from your mother. If my mom finds out, I'll never hear the end of it.
Se minha mãe descobrir, eu serei relembrado disso para sempre.
If my mom finds out, I'll never hear the end of it. If I spilled wine on their new carpet, I'd never hear the end of it. I can't believe what I did last night at the party. I'll never hear the end of it. If I don't remember to put down the toilet seat, my wife never lets me hear the end of it. We didn't want to invite my cousin to our wedding, but we knew if we didn't, we'd never hear the end of it. If Mark gets into Oxford, we'll never hear the end of it. If I lose this match, I'll never hear the end of it back home.
Se eu perder essa partida, serei relembrado disso para sempre lá em casa.
If I lose this match, I'll never hear the end of it back home.
See something coming.
No one else had expected the factory to close, but we saw it coming.
Mas nós previmos isso.
John's going to have a lot of trouble with him. You can see it coming.
Dará para prever isso.
Jason saw the stock market crash coming and sold most of his shares.
Previu o colapso da bolsa.
Everyone had seen the layoffs coming, but nobody could do anything to stop them.
Todos haviam previsto as demissões.
Then one day she just walked out. I suppose I should have seen it coming. We should have seen it coming. There was no way he could keep going under all that pressure. I saw this coming. You've been working too hard for too many days in a row not to come down with a really bad flu. Fortunately, we saw this service shutdown coming, so we set up a secondary system for dealing with customer queries in the meantime. I knew what the punchline was going to be as soon as he started the joke. I could see it coming a mile away. Poor girl, she never saw it coming.
Ela não esperava por essa.
I can't believe Vanessa broke up with me. I never saw it coming.
Não esperava por essa.
I can't believe he resigned. I just didn't see it coming.
Run off at the mouth.
Don't worry about him. He likes to run his mouth, but he won't do anything.
Bater boca.
If she keeps running her mouth at the referee, she's going to be ejected from this game. Every time I go down to the warehouse, Lonnie is there running his mouth. I don't know how the other guys can stand to hear him talking all day. We would have gotten away with our plan if your dumb cousin hadn't started running off at the mouth all over town. I figured it went without saying that I didn't want to talk about my divorce at Daniel's wedding, but you just had to go and run off at the mouth like that.
Você
I wish you would stop running off at the mouth.
queria que você parasse de falar tanto.
Tom runs off at the mouth too much. I wish he would temper his remarks. Wilbur is always running off at the mouth about his investments.
Contando vantagem.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to run off at the mouth like that. There's some guy at the other end of the bar running off at the mouth about how far he can throw a football.
Dito.
I hate reality shows. Ditto.
Ditto. Idem.
It rains Saturday and it rains Sunday. Ditto Monday.
Idem para segunda-feira.
I'd like coffee. Ditto for me. Local residents are opposed to the proposal. Ditto many members of the city council. Brian, well done on your report, and ditto to you too, Zoe. The sales associates were rude and condescending, and ditto for the manager. Hannah encouraged me to speak my mind instead of saying ditto at every break in the conversation. Toy Story 4, 100 minutes long, is the lengthiest of its franchise. Ditto for How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. Anesthesiologists should be tipped before the procedure. Ditto proctologists. Model Kaya Gerber is photographed constantly there. Ditto Blue Ivy, Beyonce and Jay-Z's 7-year-old daughter. The coffee is really good. Ditto the aroma. It is not too strong and makes a nice foam.
Never cease to amaze.
This website never ceases to amaze me.
Sempre me impressiona.
It never ceases to amaze me the quality of this website.
Sempre fico impressionado.
It never ceases to amaze me how quick email is. Her courage never ceases to amaze me. His stupidity never ceases to amaze me. It never ceases to amaze me just how smart kids can be. The petrol consumption, of course, never ceases to amaze me. The power of sports never ceases to amaze me.
Nunca para de me impressionar.
It never ceases to amaze me what the readers can find on the internet. Your ability to articulate never ceases to amaze me. Harvey, your lack of emotional awareness never ceases to amaze me. It never ceases to amaze me just how much fun she has when she is in the kitchen playing with her dollhouse.
Sempre fico impressionado.
A gift that never ceases to amaze those who receive it. Your generosity never ceases to amaze. A huge and sprawling megalopolis, combining modernity and tradition, Shanghai never ceases to amaze the visitors.
Come to a head.
The situation came to a head when the workers went out on strike.
Chegou a ponto crítico.
Things hadn't been good between us for a while, and this incident just brought it to a head. Things came to a head in the summer of 1997. The issues that you're trying to ignore in your relationship will come to a head eventually, so you might as well deal with them now. Tensions in our community came to a head following the mayor's insensitive comments. At the end of the week, everything came to a head, and Sam was fired. Matters came to a head on Monday when he threatened to resign. The crisis is believed to have been brought to a head by demands from the bank. These problems came to a head in September when 5 of the station's journalists were sacked.
Foram demitidos.
Matters came to a head yesterday when an emergency meeting was called to demand the director's resignation. Her recent public remarks about company policy have finally brought matters to a head. The negative political climate in America seems to have come to a head.
As usual. Como de costume.
As usual, she was wearing jeans. The library is open for business as usual, despite the snowstorm. As usual, there will be the local and regional elections on June the 12th. When somebody died, everything went on as usual, as if it had never happened. As usual at that hour, the place was deserted. Despite her problems, she carried on working as usual. As usual, I slept late that Saturday morning. Dan got there late, as usual. Terry was, as usual, slow to respond. The children have left all the lights on, as usual. The front pages are, as usual, a mixture of domestic and foreign news. Sam is ignoring me as usual. I wonder if he'll ever forgive me. John ordered eggs for breakfast as usual. Steve, as usual, was the last to arrive. The writers' group is meeting at the coffee shop on Saturday morning, as usual.
In keeping with. Combinam perfeitamente com.
The decorations in the house are in perfect keeping with her personality. In keeping with the overall design of the park, the playground will remain small.
Para combinar com.
In keeping with the family's wishes, we're declining to make a comment on the case at this point in time. The new building was designed in keeping with the Georgian style of the city's older structures. The new wing is in keeping with the house's original architecture. The funeral arrangements were out of keeping with the family's wishes. The painting is out of keeping with the rest of the room.
Não combina.
It was a custom in keeping with tradition.
Era costume de acordo com a tradução.
In keeping with tradition, everyone wore black.
Para se manter na tradição.
The latest results are in keeping with our earlier findings. He couldn't stand buildings that were out of keeping with their surroundings.
Call into question. Põe em dúvida.
The fact that a party can be voted into power by a minority of the electorate calls into question the country's electoral system.
Põe em dúvida o sistema eleitoral no país.
His whereabouts the day before were called in question when he was being interrogated. I considered Walt for the promotion, but his constant lateness soon called that decision into question. Such a significant error really calls all of the experiment's results into question.
Põe todos os resultados do experimento em dúvida.
How can you call her honesty into question? I feel that my competence is being called into question here.
Sinto que minha competência está sendo questionada aqui.
I feel that my competence is being called into question here. Nothing that has happened since has called that judgment into question. It's impossible to call these rules into question. You cannot call her behavior into question without drawing attention to yourself.
Você não pode questionar o comportamento dela.
He has called their competence into question more than once, and he may have been right all along.
By no means.
It is by no means certain that we'll finish the project by June.
Não é de forma alguma certeza.
This isn't the last we'll hear of it by any means. It was by no means excellent, but still better than last year. I wouldn't say I was an expert, not by any means.
Eu não diria que era um especialista, não, de jeito nenhum.
By no means shall our country be drawn into yet another war overseas.
De forma alguma.
By no means. It wasn't perfect, but I definitely enjoyed it.
De jeito nenhum.
He is by no means a weak opponent.
Ele não é de forma alguma um oponente fraco.
She is by no means poor, believe me. She only pretends to be.
De jeito nenhum.
It is by no means clear what the president can do to end the strike. It's difficult, but by no means impossible.
É difícil, mas de forma alguma impossível.
It's difficult, but by no means impossible.
In a fix.
I'm afraid I'm in a bit of a fix. Is there any chance you'd be able to help me?
Pouco encrencado.
It's quite a fix you're in.
Uma bela encrenca.
Boy, I'm really in a fix. I accidentally made plans with 2 different men tonight. We're in a fix now because the hotel gave our room away. I really got myself into a fix. I owe a lot of money on my taxes. John is in a fix because he lost his wallet. He kept turning to me whenever he was in a fix, and of course I'd help him out. The government is in a fix over the pension reform problem. We're going to be in a real fix if we miss that bus. That puts us in a fix.
É uma encrenca.
The legislation placed 2 groups in a fix. I'm in a bit of a fix. Can you help me?
First thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning, I'll take out the garbage.
Amanhã cedo. Primeira coisa.
I'll go see her first thing in the morning. Take the money to your office without fail, first thing in the morning. I need you down here first thing in the morning. The money will be on your desk first thing in the morning. Put those files on my desk, and I'll look at them first thing in the morning as soon as I get here. I rang them first thing this morning. I always do it first thing in the morning on a Saturday. First thing in the morning, he thought of her. Eating first thing in the morning just makes me nauseous. Breakfast is always brought to them first thing in the morning. He said he'd call back first thing in the morning.
Make a head or tail. Entender patavina.
After spending hours working with the new piece of software, I still cannot make heads or tails out of it.
Ainda não consigo entender patavina dele.
I can't make heads or tails of that new guy in accounting. Sometimes he's really friendly, and then other times he acts like he's never met me before. I can't make heads or tails of Fred.
Não consigo entender o Fred nem pouco.
I couldn't make heads or tails of the report. No one can make heads or tails of this problem. We couldn't make heads or tails of your directions.
Entender coisa alguma.
He said he couldn't make head or tail of the case. I can't make head nor tail of these instructions on the packet. John is so strange. I can't make heads or tails of him. Do this report again. I can't make heads or tails out of it.
101.
Professor Heiderman wants me to give a presentation to his Math 101 class.
De introdução à matemática.
So, how are you enjoying your Chemistry 101 class? Geology 101 tells us that you can't build a reservoir on sandstone. Too bad anti-life equations aren't covered in Physics 101.
Introdução à física.
Computer Science 101 covers the nature of computers and how they work. You should know how to boil an egg. That's Cooking 101.
Básico da culinária.
Helping people get to the polls is the first lesson of Politics 101. You should never leave your baby alone in the bathtub. That's just Parenting 101. Pay attention. This is Jungle 101 on our trip to the Amazon.
Básico da selva.
Etiquette 101. Don't speak with your mouth full, and don't lean your elbows on the table. Dating 101 is for guys who aren't confident about getting girls.
Slam Drunk.
The game had a series of spectacular slam dunks.
Enterradas.
Because of his incredible height, Sam racked up more slam dunks than any other player in the league.
Enterradas.
He was wide open and scored an easy slam dunk.
Enterrada fácil. É de basquete.
You need to stop trying to slam dunk every time you're near the net.
Slam dunk.
She's been slam dunking against the other team all evening. He passed the ball ahead to Mike, who slam dunked it. There's no doubt that he's guilty. The case is a slam dunk.
O caso é uma vitória garantida.
The election is starting to look like a slam dunk for our side. This conviction was a slam dunk for the district attorney's office. The vote proved to be a slam dunk for our side with a 24-5 win. So it's an easy decision. It's a slam dunk. Finishing that project with all his experience should be a slam dunk for George. This is a great chance for us to slam dunk the opposition.
Derrotarmos a oposição.
The incumbent president has slam dunked his opponent in every televised debate so far. If we can slam dunk this proposal, we'll get enough funding to see us through to the end of next year.
Put to bed.
I'll give you a call after I put the kids to bed.
Pôr as crianças na cama.
Tom had a bit too much to drink, so I'm going to put him to bed. I read my daughter a story every night when I put her to bed. I hope we can finally put this issue to bed.
Enterrar essa questão.
It's time we put all these vicious rumors to bed. I hope we can put those doubts to bed.
Enterrar essas dúvidas.
Okay, I think we have to agree to disagree. Let's just put the issue to bed and stop arguing. Why are you still being so jealous? I thought we'd put this all to bed ages ago. We thought we'd put the issue to bed, but it was brought up again at the next meeting. It's always a race to put the latest magazine issue to bed. I thought you'd put the proofreading for that edition to bed weeks ago.
Finalizando a revisão daquela edição.
We should be able to put this project to bed next week.
Terminar de preparar esse projeto.
This week's edition is finished. Let's put it to bed.
Vamos mandá-la em frente.
Finish the editing of this book and put it to bed.
Mande em frente. Off you go. Podem ir.
Off you go to school now. Off you go and tidy your room. Just make sure your parachute is properly set up, and off you go.
Pode ir.
Okay, we're all done. Off you go.
Pode ir.
Off you go. I don't want to see you on the street this late. Go home. I'm going to write a letter. Off you go then. But I don't want to leave you, Mom. I'm scared. There is nothing to be afraid of, dear. Now off you go. I'll be back later to take you home. It's time to leave. Off I go. Get upstairs and clean your room up. Do we really have to, Mom? Off you go. I'd like to have another try at playing this difficult piece on the piano. All right, off you go then, and I'll turn the pages of the sheet music for you. Sally looked at the airplane taking off and said, Off it goes.
Lá vai ele.
The plane is taking off. Off we go on the adventure of a lifetime. Off she goes, Dan muttered, as he watched his baby girl drive away to begin her first semester of college.
Lá vai ela. Rock the boat.
Don't rock the boat until the negotiations are finished.
Não complique até que as negociações.
It's better not to rock the boat when you first start a job. None of my family members are fighting with each other right now, so please don't rock the boat by bringing up politics or any other controversial topics. I realize I'm new here, and I don't want to rock the boat. I said I didn't want to rock the boat in any way.
Causar problema.
We have a pretty good life here. Why rock the boat? He kept his feelings to himself, not wanting to rock the boat.
Complicar.
As long as you don't rock the boat, nobody cares what you do. Who the hell would want to rock the boat on a deal like that? I really don't want to rock the boat, but I think someone should say something about his behavior.
Go haywire. Ficam malucos.
My dogs go haywire if there's a lightning storm within 30 kilometers. Well, the coffee pot has gone haywire yet again. Maybe it's time to get a new one.
A cafetéria ficou maluca.
I'll end up going haywire if I have to work in this cubicle for one more day. They told us later in the hospital that his heart had gone haywire. Globalization seemed finally to go haywire before our very eyes last week. Why do our looks go haywire at the worst possible times?
Porque nossa aparência fica maluca nos piores momentos possíveis.
I was talking to Mary when suddenly the telephone went haywire. I haven't heard from her since. There we were driving along when the engine went haywire. It was 2 hours before the tow truck came. His enemies accused the mayor of going haywire.
Ficar maluco.
My printer's gone haywire. It keeps stopping and starting. Sorry, I guess I just went haywire for a minute. Everything was going smoothly until the computer started to go haywire. He took off the back of his watch, removed a gear, and the whole thing went haywire.
Drive someone crazy.
Be quiet. You're driving me crazy. Leo's constant nagging certainly drives me crazy. We love our 2-year-old, but sometimes she drives us crazy. Seeing all these people just staring at their phones all day long drives me crazy. All that pressure finally drove Steve crazy in the end. You kids are going to drive me crazy one of these days with all your arguing. Would you stop shouting? You're driving me crazy. The sound of the wind howling drove me crazy. The dog's constant barking drove her crazy. He drives me crazy with the lazy way he executes all his tasks. The fact that I couldn't understand what was being said in class drives me crazy. Lucas loves to pay attention to the smallest details. Although a good quality, it sometimes drives me crazy. I'd rather you drive me crazy with nonstop chatter than keep quiet because you're mad at me. Adam drove his wife crazy with his constant arguments about money.
Lie awake. Fico acordado.
If I drink coffee late in the day, I can't sleep and lie awake all night. She used to lie awake at night, worrying about how to pay the bills. I miss you and sometimes lie awake at night thinking of you. I lie awake picturing my ex with his new girlfriend. I lie awake every night thinking maybe I started something I shouldn't have. I lie awake watching the clock long after Greta's fallen asleep. She was so worried that she lay awake all night long. She lay awake listening to her sister's steady breathing. Last night, you lay awake for hours, unable to go to sleep. I lay awake most of the night, worrying. I just lay awake at night, thinking about how unbelievably lucky I am to have you in my life. I just lay awake and all these thoughts go through my head.
Bad egg.
He was dishonest, but he was the only bad egg in the group.
Único mau caráter no grupo.
We could tell he was a bad egg, even at a young age. You can't trust him. He's simply a bad egg. You're not such a bad egg after all. He was a bad egg who had served several years in prison. I'm telling you, Robert is just a bad egg. I wouldn't trust him if I were you. It's disappointing when someone you think is a good friend turns out to be a bad egg. It's no surprise that he ended up in prison. He has always been a bad egg. They think he's a real bad egg. He seemed a good guy at first, but in the end turned out to be a bad egg.
Do a number one.
Boy, your friend really did a number on you.
Seu amigo realmente aprontou com você.
Boy, your friend really did a number on you. The teacher did a number on the whole class by giving them a pop quiz. That boss of yours really did a number on you. You'll never get promoted. Tom did a number on Mary when he went out with Anne.
O Tom magoou a Mary.
She really did a number on her old boyfriend, making him beg her to come back and then turning him down. Considering her pessimism toward marriage, her last breakup must have really done a number on her. I really did a number on my ankle when I fell.
Machuquei.
Sun and pollution can really do a number on your skin.
Machucar a pele.
It was a small piece of shrapnel, but it did a number on my left cheek.
Bochecha esquerda.
The reviewers really did a number on that film.
Criticaram aquele filme.
The committee really did a number on the mayor's proposal. To the delight of Republicans, the press did a number on the senator.
Fill the void.
His wife died, and he filled the void with cats and whiskey.
Preencheu o vazio.
If Mike doesn't play sports this year, what will fill the void besides his troublemaking friends? She's been drinking to try to fill the void after her husband left her with 2 young kids. Many people spend money they don't have trying to fill a void in their lives. Dogs, cats, and other pets are a wonderful way for people to fill the void of loneliness in their lives. I had a difficult time filling the void when my children graduated from high school and left for college. He wondered how he would ever fill the void left by his son's death. I'm afraid I'll never find anyone to fill the void after my secretary retires. No, we got that project done. Rebecca filled the void while you were on vacation.
Preencheu a vaga. Fill the void.
If I am absent for too long, there are plenty who could fill the void. Who's going to fill the void in the marketing department when Sandra is on maternity leave? Millions of men were off to war, so the factories filled the void by training women to do the work.
Be beat. Estou exausto. I'm beat.
I'm beat. I'm going to bed. The whole family was beat after the game. I'm beat, so just get to the point.
Estou exausto.
You've been working too hard. You look dead beat. After running a few miles, I was beat. Sorry, I can't go out tonight. I'm beat. Come and sit down. You must be dead beat. You guys must be beat. You've had a busy day. Drop me off at my place. I'm beat. I didn't mean to lash out at you. I just had a rough day and I'm beat.
Estou exausto.
These horses are beat, and so am I. Let's call it a day. After 2 hours in the gym and another swimming, I was beat by the time I got home.
Right back at you.
Darling, you look great today. Right back at you.
Digo-te o mesmo.
I love you. Right back at you.
Digo-te o mesmo.
Have a good one. Right back at you, John.
Right back at you.
Hey, good luck with that, buddy. Right back at you, man. You're an idiot. Yeah, well, right back at you, moron. I don't think that outfit looks good on you. Right back at you. You act like an idiot sometimes. Right back at you, you jerk. Maybe you should change your attitude. Right back at you. I'll miss you so much when you move. Right back at you.
Digo-te o mesmo.
You're one of the nicest people I know. Thanks. Right back at you.